Okay, all I'm doing is just checking the wiring harness, and real simple to remove this air duct, AC controllers and stuff. Just all I did was just wedge it out with a blade screwdriver from the top here, just a little one, just to wedge it out, get a bit of a grip on it. Once it started moving, it came out real easy. Now I just need to take this stereo system out here, so just looks like 4 screws, 2 on either side. To take that out, and I can look at the harness wiring on the other side. Before installing an aftermarket kit, I need to know the connections on it, and trying to research it online, there's 3 different types of connections, so I need to make sure which one it is first, so I get the correct harness before installing the aftermarket kit. Okay, so removing the 4 screws, or in this case in this case they're bolts. Okay, so looks like the connection has been hacked at. It's not what I've seen online at all. It looks like it needs a bit of tidying as well. There's a bit of open wire and what have you around here. This is your standard, there's a funny stereo system, this one. That's your standard Toyota connection. This is the latest series that basically replaced that plug, but this stereo system has that plug and that one, so interesting. And this stereo system has 2. What's the purpose of that? And like, this stereo system is just your basic system. I'll take that out of there. You know, it's not touch screen or anything. It doesn't have GPS. What was the purpose of 2 antennas? I think I'll have to do a bit of research on this, and just to make sure that I do the wiring correctly. Anyway, I know what type of connections this already has, and I do have old harness connections that will plug onto that, so I'll work out the wiring and I'll make a harness up for it. Okay, well, this is going to be completed in the next couple of days, or maybe a week. I've first got to collect my information, make my harness up, and then we'll get back to this. Another thing I just realised, I'm doing this job for a friend, by the way, and I'm just researching first before I go changing things. The housing for this is curved. Like, the bottom part is okay, but I don't think a standard aftermarket kit's going to go into this. I think I have to buy a new housing or a stereo system that has that same shape in it. It definitely doesn't look like we'll be able to put an aftermarket unit in this, and that's pretty wide as well, so if it did, it'd probably come here on both sides. And unfortunately my friend isn't home right now. I'm just jumping in his car to check this sort this out while he's not here, but I have to get his head unit and just temporarily put it into the housing here, see if it fits, and you know, if it goes to there, we might be able to use some rubber or something to block in the sides. But if it doesn't sit into the face, then there's no point putting it in the car. Alright, so finally continuing with this head unit, got all the parts that's needed now, and find out that the mounts are no good. So it's a real funny way how to mount this in. So what I've done is I've just drilled holes through the mounts that came with the unit into the original mounts, and then I line it up, putting them opposite to each other here, and line it up, and I think I've got it pretty well right. But if I'm not, if I have to go, if the unit has to get up or down, I'll cut slits, say in the bottom, and if they go up, or if it has to go down a little, I'll cut slits so I can adjust it down a little. But as for the unit itself, this goes flush here, and I've measured it up like this. Take those screws there out. I'm going to do the same with this one. Go flush to the end there, and then I'll bolt it down to these 2 here and do the same. Then drill the holes that I need. Don't go through the unit, just enough that you're just going through the first 2 layers. Don't push it too hard. And then I'll do the same on this one here, mount it on, and that should be right to go in to the car. So I'll finish this up. I just wanted to show you my idea. I was going to originally make a housing completely square around that, like the old school ways, and then go completely around that there. So before I start drilling, just showing you here, so that's the original mount, in with the new mount lined up by the original bolts, and it's squared off here, so that way it's all going to match the squareness and everything's going to fit in properly. It's just a matter of adjusting it up and down. That should be all it is. So I'm doing this mod off site, and I'll bring the head unit back over later and we'll put her in. So the other side, I'm still going with 3 rivets, but I put one at the back instead of at the front, so that'll solve the problem on this one. I'm going to do the same to the other side. I changed my mind. I decided would be better off moving that one rivet out of the way and doing the same as this. And the reason why I make 3 holes, 2 rivets would be enough, but see, if I was to get this plate away from here and I put it on that way, it won't line up. See, it won't line up. That's why I go with 3, so that way I know it's exactly how I drill the holes, goes back together. And also just see how it's not right through the original mount. Just so I don't want to wreck the unit, so I've only drilled enough to go through the first plate, and then enough to where I've got to finish drilling the holes on the OEM plate. Okay, just another thing I thought of was I wasn't really happy with the way this was lining up here when I was putting this on. This was coming a little bit, the new face was going a little bit further forward from just eyesight here, so I figured it's probably going to need to be like this when it goes in, and not like this. So I just got the grinder and trimmed back the original mount a bit, you can see there. So it's all, when putting in a custom unit like this, it's all about having the movement to be able to move forwards and backwards and up and down. So now I have the movement to go forwards and backwards as far as I need to there, and like I said, once I've got it there and I'll get it set in place, I'll know if I need to cut the top of this or the bottom of this to make it so I can adjust it up or down. But I should be pretty close, if not spot on. And also you can still see that even though I've trimmed this part back, it doesn't compromise the mount that I couldn't put the original unit back in. There's still got the 4 bolt holes there, so I could still put the original unit back in if I wanted to. Well, it's coming together nicely. I had to put the surrounding into this. I've just put it in with heat glue, and the head unit, I'll put it in and I'll show you how it's positioned in there. Okay, so you can see how that's all lining up there, how I've got the sides in there. Sun's at a real bad angle right now. You can see that there, how it's all mounting up, it's all lining up. I'll put the cover in now, and that's it. Now I was trying to get the sun out of the way. That's all looking good in place. So the mount idea worked out well. Just need to work out the wiring harness for the rear speakers. That's still a problem. If anybody watching this knows the wiring to the Lexus, then let us know, because just the rear speakers are being a pain, but everything else is working. That concludes this, so thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. Cheers. Alrighty, well, I'm hoping that somebody up there can help me out with the wiring side of things. So this is the compliance plate here. The vehicle is in November 98. It's an LX470. This is the original head unit wiring. Now this plug here is wired up, and we've got speakers, left and right front speakers. Everything's working fine. The aftermarket unit powers up and everything works, and we've got front speakers only. The aftermarket, however, only has 2 RCA connections for front speakers and 2 RCA connections for auxiliary. And with them plugged in, we've only got front speakers of the car. Now this connection here that I thought was your standard Toyota connection, I was wrong. The standard Toyota one only has 2 pins on both sides, not 3 pins on one side and 2 on the other. So trying to find this plug here, I find out that it's I think it's a CV702 connection, and trying to find out the wiring for that, it's a bit confusing. And this one here, no idea what that is for. I'm assuming that this is the audio out connections. This is supposed to be for a CD unit, a CD stacker, and this here I'm not really too sure. There is no steering wheel controls. I thought at first that this must have been for steering wheel controls, but it's not. I go over to the wiring for the LX 470. You can see that's the female, that's the same as the connection here, the female. You can see that's the same there. And if we want to have a look at the male connection, just to confirm that, we can scroll down to the male connection, and it's going to show you the male side, which that's what it looks like there, and that's the one that I'm working with. And the reason why I've tagged this right rear and left rear, we'll get to that in a second. Just want to make sure that you can see that's the same plug. So I think, okay, we're onto something here. So with the LS470s, we'll go this one first. And looking at the connections here, so that's it there. So you've got the left and right positive, left and right negative for the speakers, as I've marked it there. And going through it all, I can't find any units, I can't find any wiring diagrams that has wiring diagrams for them 3 connections. This one here was easy. I've already connected it all up, you know, with the harness adapter and so forth that you can buy. And that was just plug and play. You know, you plug it in, you plug it into the car to that same connection, and the radio works, just not the rear speakers. So you go, all right, so follow this wiring here. Okay, that's work out that's the rear speakers. I've poked wires into it and so forth, trying to get the rear speakers. I get no sound at all. If I try and jump across it, put a 1.5 battery in between, whatever, I get no sound out of the rear speakers at all. So you go, all right, well, we've tried that. But they're all the same. So if I was to go, it doesn't matter. This one says LX470. If I was to go to that one there, you can see that the pin out, that's the plug there. Pin outs are the same, exactly the same. If I go to this one here, you can see the pin outs are exactly the same. Ignoring other connections because it's obviously not for this unit, but we're focusing on this particular plug here. I'm like, okay, well, this is all showing that it's, you know, speaker out, speaker out, speaker out. Okay. That's for the 2 different plugs. So you got your front and you got your rear. And you're like, okay, well, that's easy enough to understand, but it doesn't work out that way. So if I go to, same as that one there, same story, there's the connection there. You got your positives there, your negatives there for your speakers, same deal. Trying to work that out. And what I'm thinking is that this connection here has both left right channels, front and back, out at this point here in our RCA connections out. The head unit, the aftermarket head unit, because it only has 2 channels coming out for the front and 2 auxiliaries, that's why I can't do anything here. That's what I'm just guessing. So it's something that I have to go back to and check it out. But I'm hoping that somebody watching this knows the story and can help me out. But let's continue on. I've done a lot of research on this. I've spent many hours trying to find some useful information. So if I go to this one here, sorry, not that one. Probably could have gone that one, but we'll go this one. Okay, so there's the connection there. And this one here tells me that they're ins. Same wiring, same idea, but their inputs, not out. We'll go back to here and we'll focus on the 470s. And so they're all out. It shows me there. It doesn't say this, you know, it doesn't say the wiring belongs, this wiring here belongs to that plug or that plug. So these diagrams here is kind of like, you know, well, you know, how do I work that out? I'm just assuming that that's this plug here when it's talking about the rears. But anyway, so if I come over to, I've been searching around, I came across this thing here. Now this is inputs. So you plug it into the harness of the car, which that'll plug into the back of the harness on the unit. Oh, sorry, not harness on the unit. That'll plug into the unit. That'll plug into the harness, and this will allow you to connect a portable DVD player or Walkman or something that's going to let you go through the audio in and into the stereo. And there are different connections I've been going through trying to find the right plug, which I came across this is the correct plug there. If I was to turn this image here upside down, that there, if I was to turn that upside down, you can see that's the same plug as that there. So I was like, all right, I think I'm onto something. I went and had a look at it. That's it there. That's for a Suzuki. And that is completely the wrong wiring. You can see that on that side there, you got 2 channels for audio. And on the other side, you got 2 channels for audio. And all the power and everything's in the middle. Well, according to these diagrams, the power is on the side. And there's audio on this side only. Then you got your TX. I assume that's for some sort of CD stacker control. You got TX2 plus, TX2 negative. I think that says there. I can't really see it clearly. It'd be nice if I could click on that to make it a bigger picture, but you click on it and it makes it a smaller picture. So kind of useless. Okay, so we'll come across, we're at the Suzuki one there. Now this is what I also found. This covers 98 to 2007. Now that's the housing that you need when you're putting an aftermarket unit into this car. And you've got all this wiring here. I'm not about to spend $250, and that's Australian. So you're not going to spend $250 just to get this harness, because this one plug here is probably the plug that I want. To find out what the color codes are, to find out, if I can use that and what those, going by the color codes, is it for the speakers or what have you. So the plot thickens. I even checked the car out. Like I looked up the chassis number to find out that I made sure that, yeah, definitely November 98. Definitely looking at the right car. But I'm not having any luck with this wiring. And when I search another site, it shows me this. But that's the connection that I've already got wired up. It doesn't show me any other connection of what I'm looking for in this list of connections that I could order. So, okay. And I come to here, and this is another Australian site that search for harnesses for cars. And that's definitely, like, click on that picture, that's definitely what I'm looking for. Click on this picture, that's definitely the correct stereo system that was in it. But no products found. It just shows you the housing there. And all the connections underneath are pointless. So I'm like, well, I'm really stumped. Where do I go from here? So that's all I was going through all these different diagrams and so forth. It's all the same. Shows you the plus and negative here for 2 speakers, but I'm assuming they're output for the rear, but are they input for auxiliary? And why is the stereo system has 2 connections, and it's exactly like this actually. It's got these 2 connections, but this here one has everything. It's like it's got. I'm just pointing at pins here, but it's got your main battery. It's got your ACC. It's got your memory wire. It's got all that on this connection here. And so does this one over here. So why does both these connections have both the same options? And if this is supposed to be for a CD stacker, I just don't get it. It's not making any sense. And these 2 here, they're your antenna inputs. I mentioned it earlier in the video. I'm not really too sure why it has one that says, when you look at the wiring diagram, it says this one's the main and this one's auxiliary. And you're like, well, what's the point of having auxiliary antenna? What, do you think this one's going to fail? It's just, yeah, the whole thing about this makes no sense. So there's the wiring there. That's for an LX470. Again, there's the connections there. There's right there. And this 3-wire connection here, I have no idea what that's for, but I thought I'd show you because of the color codes. Maybe somebody knows something about it. And that's the head unit there that came out of it. There's a compliance plate, another compliance plate. Oh, this makes no sense either. This one says November 98. This compliance plate says March 99. That's a different compliance plate for something else that was added. That's the serial number and so forth that's on the back of the unit. That's the wiring that somebody else has been hacking at before, but when I checked it, the actual harness wires are correct. These are just added on. See if I can get in there. So they're just added on wires for a different harness connection for a different unit that's been in it before, but the actual harness wire has been left alone. It's just been tapped into, that's all. So there's that connection up there. These are all the pictures I was taking. Well, basically for myself, because I wanted to be able to zoom in and find out if there's anything important there that I should be reconstructing. But I've already cleaned it all up. I've already cleaned up all these wires, you know, taped them up and so forth. So it's all nice and tidy behind the unit now. Okay, so there's the connection there. That's the one I was talking about, has the audio out. This is all connected and the unit's working fine. When you go to the next one, that one there, that's what I'm trying to find out the wiring for. These are the ones that's supposed to be for your left and right channel rear, but it doesn't work out that way. And these ones here are supposed to be, I'm just going to guess by the wiring diagram I looked earlier, that this one here's your main battery, this one here's your ACC, this one's your memory wire. We can go back and have a look at that to make sure which way goes what there. And the two middle ones are for your TX. Okay, so I'm really at a loss because nothing happens when I do this here, when I plug them in. I'd really like to find a aftermarket harness that will plug into this, just to make things easier to plug it in, but I'm really starting to think that this is supposed to be in for auxiliary, not out, and that's why I can't get these to work. I really do believe that all the audio is coming out of this connection here. So something I'll look at the unit when I come back to it. Just come back over the wires there. Okay, so I'm going to leave that here. If somebody knows something, like this is confusing the hell out of me. Like I said, I've already spent a long time researching, going to different websites and so forth. I've gone to eBay trying to look at wiring harnesses and Amazon and oh my God, you name it. I've been there. And yeah, I'm at a loss. I'm just going to have to be experimental and try a few things and try and work it out. And keep on researching in the meantime. But anyway, just thought I'd throw this in there, see if somebody else can help me out. All right. Till next time, guys. Thanks for watching. As always, I appreciate you, and I'll catch you on the next one.